Hey everyone, this is Jimmy Moore with Smart Agent Consulting. Just wanted to do a quick webinar teaching on how to crack the lead gen code. I want to spend the first half going through the mathematics. I often talk when I speak to groups or when we're working with a client. I wasn't born with natural math talents. And as I became a business owner and started operating my insurance agency, I learned that math is very important, but it's very simple. So I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed, but I want to go through the first half of this teaching. It'll be about 12, 15 minutes long. Let's go through the math gen numbers, and then let's go through how to break it out. And then we'll have some other teachings that will actually show how you can break it down and put marketing dollars in to actually know for every dollar you put in to your funnel that you get 2 or 3 or even 4 out the other side. So we'll start off with, what is your monthly premium goal? So as I consult with most agency owners, you hear, just depending on the size of their team, somewhere between, and I always think of sold premium. You can break this down into items, you can break it down into households and policies, but start with sold premium. What's your goal? So we're going to go with 80,000. Okay, so 80,000 sold premium. At the end of the month, 21 days in the month, you want to have 80,000 in sold new business premium. So the next thing you need to think about, what is your average premium per household? So we've been tracking this for a while in our agencies, and in any given year it'll bounce between 1,400 or 17, 18, 1,900. We're in the Southeast, so just depending on what part of the country that you're in, or if you're in a coastal area, or your premiums will vary per household. But I'm just going to go for this exercise with 1,500. So all you do is take 80,000, 1,500. So that's 53 households. Okay. All right, simple math, right? That's about as hard as it gets. One more step that we need to go through, and this is the important one. So this is great. We know if we sell 53 households in a calendar month, and if we track a 1,500 average per household, we'll hit 80,000. So how many quotes do you need to sell 53? Okay. So again, depending if you track this, depending on what part of the country you're in, this is going to be your closing ratio. And depending on the underwriting guidelines at the time and pricing, this can range as well. I always say go in with a conservative number, because we're going to teach you how to track it and measure it, and then we can also help you and your teams through sales training and scripting and role playing, increase that. But let's go with 12%. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 53 divided by 0.12, 444 quotes. Okay. So if you and your team does 444 quotes, you will sell 53 households. If you sell 53 households at an average premium of 1,500, you're going to hit 80,000. So obviously off of here, and we're going to come back to this in another teaching, but we're basically going to say, okay, depending on where you're at in your contract or where you're at, if you're captive or independent, what carriers you work with, you're going to have obviously commissions off of this, and we can teach you how to break that down into variable commissions to go towards marketing and paying your team commissions, or fixed, which covers overhead and operations. But when you do that, you can start right here. And I think this is where a lot of agency owners stop, and they just don't know how to compute this. So if we know that we get X amount off of 80,000, okay, and if we know that all we need to do is do 444 each time to hit that 80,000, once you compute your commissions, you just divide it back down here, and it's going to give you a value. And that's where we can help building in profit margins. Say if you want to make 15% profit, 18%, 20%, we can start backing that out and helping you come up with that number. So what we do from here, this is kind of the first half. It's just really just the simple math. We like to look at a calendar month of 21 business days. Sometimes there's a little less, sometimes there's a few more. But basically, 4 may seem like a lot. You know, some of you may be saying, we've never done 100, Jimmy, and we've never done 44. Well, you need to think of it this way. In 21 days, okay, 21 working days, it's actually 21 quotes per day. So it's really not a whole lot if you break it down, especially if you have 2 or 3 team members. You start breaking it down even more. That's 7 quotes a day. So if you have 2 or 3 team members that come in and you separate sales and service, 21 quotes in a day, that's 6, 7, 8 quotes per team member, depending on the size of your team per day. There's 6, 7 good productive hours in a business day. That's perfect. You should be able to do 2 an hour. You should actually be able to double that number. This is again why we really preach and teach our clients to do separate sales and service. So that way, at the end of the day, you know, say, well, I didn't have enough time to do outbound. Well, you got plenty of time because we'll handle all the service work. So anyways, this is just how you break it down here. And then obviously, if you have, 3 team members, again, that's 7 each, per day. Hope everybody can see that. Try not to get in front of the camera. So when you look at 80,000, if you've never done 80,000 before, it may look like a big number. But if you break it all the way down and say, look, on any given day, let's worry about what we can control and not worry about what we can't. Come on, you can generate 7 each per day. So from here, and I'm going to kind of hit this really at a high level view, because again, we do one-on-one consulting, which we kind of get ingrained and roll our sleeves up in clients' businesses. And we actually really kind of help calibrate this. And we even have some technology that's really cool that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, it's a process to where we can help agency owners manage their social media, their web forms, their lead generation, their telemarketing, all in one hub. And what we do is it tracks these numbers. We actually program it. So the system every day can tell you if you're running hot, if you're running profitable, if you're needing to turn the volume up and put more in the top of the funnel. But I'm going to hit it at I'd say about a 10,000 foot view, and we'll do some more teachings that's more granular, or just reach out to me and we'll kind of walk through some stuff one-on-one. So this is really where I would start to have a conversation with the agency owner, and they say, well, I want to do 444 quotes. I need to know a little bit about their area, their background, their personality. Are they extroverts? Are they introverts? What's the team look like? But what we recommend is breaking this into 4 categories. And we always talk about our spend rate. So what we want to do is we want to break the 444 into 4 categories, and then we're going to track and measure, because we want to make sure that if you can get a quote for $8, but maybe one of the others, you're getting a quote for $28, well, can we do less of the one for 28 and more of the one for 8? If there's enough volume, that will increase your profitability. The first one I'm just going to say, and we call it COIs. I'm sure that's a term that most agency owners use across the country. Centers of influences. So that's realtors, mortgage brokers, bankers, attorneys, just anyone that has clients that can send you their clients that need your services. The second one, we are going to say marketing campaigns. And this is some software that we have. We definitely would love to show you how this works. It's very inexpensive, but we can manage Facebook, we can manage the websites, retargeting. So not necessarily like search engine optimization, but if we can create lead forms and social media, whether it's like boosted post or whether it's sponsored for paid ads, and we build targeted audiences, once they click on that form, it captures that in their computer and their cookies. And then now all of a sudden, next time they're on Amazon, next time they're on, reading ESPN or the sports or whatever it may be, your ad starts coming up and there's a call to action, which leads them to your form. And if you have a great call to action, we teach that too on how to create urgency, scarcity. Then they fill your form out, that comes into your sales team through the system, and there is a lead that you can create organically. You're the only one, and you could have it for, anywhere between $4, $6, $7 per lead, depending on traffic in your area. But we try and keep that below $10. That's kind of the goal. We never really want to get above $10 there. I would say the next one would be, we're going to call this outbound. I'm just going to call it outbound, but there's several ways to do this. Traditionally, this would have been called telemarketing. And we do have some telemarketing technology that works really well, some robo-dialers that you can do pre-recorded messages, and they can hit 1 and go directly and creates a lead, hit 2, removes them off the list, puts them on the federal DNC. It's very compliant, but this would also just be like, any lists that you have in your agency that through our system, you can click and dial, creates campaigns. So like requotes, win backs, archive leads you've bought over the last, several years, 10 years. On any given day, any agency should have several lists. And what we do is we do a content calendar and teach you how to cycle through the lists. So that way you're always going back through and working those lists, and you're going to close stuff off of it. So think about it. We talk about marketing spend. If we can generate a good portion of the 444 off of this, well, it's absorbed in a prior year. So sometimes some of the leads that we sell in this calendar year, this quarter, in this campaign, we paid for that 2, 3, 4 years ago. So there's a zero cost as far as marketing spend, just going to bring your net cost all the way down. So very important there. And then I would say number 4, sorry for my markers going out here, but just referrals. This is different than these referrals, because these referrals are kind of like proactive. They're going out into the community and they're building relationships. These referrals are off of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign a percentage of this number to these 4. And then each quote that you do in the first 3, train your team at the end of the quote to ask for referrals and have some sort of campaign or call to action, not just maybe gift cards, but like, hey, we're, raising money for this charity, or have something that's exciting and kind of refreshing to say, will you help us hit this goal? People will give you names and numbers, and you will be able to generate, again, free, more referrals off of the top 2, which is really where you'll spend the bulk of your money. I just kind of wanted to go through the framework, because we talk about lead generation. A lot of times we talk to agency owners and, man, I just wish I could do more quotes. Well, if you sit here, and we always talk about take emotion out of it, know your numbers, take emotion out of it. If you sit here and look at this, I mean, you could sit on a whiteboard in your own business and get your team around it. And I'm not going to assign percentages here, because every client is different. Everyone needs different percentages based off of, again, their community, based off of their talents, based off of their team's talents and the size of their team. But you just need to start assigning a percentage of this number to each one of these. And again, if you do outbound off of old lists, I mean, you could spend money on purchase list if you want. These are these are referrals that you ask clients once you quote them. Really, 90% of the cost is going to go up here. So if we just did a rule of thumb and we said that you need to say, on average, think of each quote being worth 10 bucks. You want to spend less than 10 because that's the more profit you make. So that's almost $4,500 for a monthly marketing budget. I can tell you, because I've run insurance agencies for almost 20 years, that you will make a big return on investment at 4,500 if it can hit you, because that's writing $1 million a year. Write $1 million in a year, 2, 3, 4 years, you can take an agency from zero to a $4 or $5 million agency, and we all know what kind of residual income that spits off. But that's only, I mean, that's almost $5,000. That's just not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. But what you got to do is you got to make sure that you draw it out this way and tell your money where to go, track it, measure it through our system. You can actually see once you do a month of this, 2 months of this, you can actually see, well, did I get a return on that? Did I not get a return on that? And that's when we start adjusting the volume knobs. And maybe you'd want to start out a little less. I mean, 80,000, if you scaled that back down to just 30,000, and obviously the numbers all adjust. I don't want you to just go out and start 4,500 bucks. Maybe all you spend is 450. Don't go right to 45. Let's set you up a plan where you're going to 1,500. All right, we'll make a profit at 1,500, then go to 3,000. Make a profit at 3,000, and go to 45. And then just find out where you can hold tight. And obviously, the more you generate here, the more this list grows. Because, you know, if you only close 12%, okay, well, you have the balance of that, right? So you have the other 88% of 444 that every 6 months, every 12 months, when you refresh the list, is going here for more calls. So anyways, I hope this helped. Just wanted to kind of go through the basics, and just reach out to us individually if there's anything that we can do. We've got a contact form on the webinar and our contact information. Just call me directly, fill a form out, and it'll come right to me, and I'll reach out to you. And I'd love just to kind of go through, I call them our discovery calls. I spend about 15, 20 minutes just asking questions about your agency, learning a little bit more about you. Not everyone is a fit for what we do at Smart Agent Consulting, but if you are a fit, I can definitely put you together a proposal. We're helping a lot of clients out and getting some great reviews. So hope this was helpful, and look forward to seeing you in our next webinar.